I'm just going to give you all just a half a shake or two to kind of hop on. Was my notes that I've now got coffee all over because I stood up and whacked it with my knee. So, wow, I have soggy notes for you all. Oh my goodness. Oh, well, you know what? It's a good thing I know what I'm doing. Otherwise, I didn't say I was not klutzy, because I'm very, very klutzy, but I at least can know what I'm doing with teaching you guys about parenting and toddler talk. So I'm just going to grab my, where is it? There it is. Here is my handy dandy watch so I don't take up too much of your time. Now this is going to be available for you on replay, and I'm going to leave it in the event for a few days, and I'm going to shut it down, so probably 3 days, and then I am going to upload it to YouTube. So what I will do is, for those of you that did sign up for this and register like you were supposed to, you are going to get your own personal copy of it. And I did promise that I was going to do something else for you. So there's going to be a special little addendum to, or a little add-on for that. And that's going to be my magical high five, which is going to completely change your life with your kids in the morning. I don't care whether they are 2 or 22, because it's a game changer. But we're going to put that in at the end. So I will make sure that I add that on to you when I send out the YouTube email. So it doesn't look like anybody's everybody's kind of putting the last of the babies to bed. I'm going to have a little sip of my slightly sloppy coffee that I made because it's all over my table. So I'm just a mom like you guys. I'm not anything special. So while we're waiting and letting those last people kind of hop on and whatnot, let me introduce myself. My name is Corina, and I have been known as Auntie Corina for almost 22 years. I started a daycare and ran it for 15 years in order to be able to stay home with my children. Now, I was with their dad at that time, and then after we separated, I really grew it into a fully licensed family daycare where I was able to run it in the bottom half of my home. Parents were just like, holy cannoli, they didn't even know that I had a TV. So I'm kind of old school in my teachings and in my philosophies. However, through the years of working with kids, I am now at a point where I have gotten enough that I can now integrate it with some of the new ways of parenting that are coming out that are a lot even more gentle and more supportive, and sometimes a lot more effective than what I did with my kids. Now, let me see. You know what? I can't see you guys through love or money, so we're just going to do that. Yes, we're in my kitchen. Yeah, where else are you going to sit and have a toddler talk? At the kitchen table, right? So I was a former special education assistant, worked in the school system. I adore children beyond all reason. They love me. I have been known as the Pied Piper now forever, because there's just something about kids that I just dig and I just get and I understand, and they seem to understand me. So I figured it's about time that I take all this information that is packed into this brain that is kind of accumulated over all the years of parenting and being a doula and a Lesh League leader and working with Cubs and Scouts. You get the picture, right? And I figured here's where I'm going to tell you. Now, what was it that brought me to talk about doing a toddler talk? And I include the ages of 2 through to about 4.5, 5. In my opinion, that's kind of that toddlery-ish. It's not technically, because the 3 and 4s are supposed to be preschoolers, and I'm like, no, they're babies. Honest, your 4-year-old is still a baby, okay? So I thought I would just sort of kind of kick off with a little bit about what I have observed and what I have learned about how brains work in a toddler. Now, number one, they are built and designed to trigger every single and push every button you own, because that's a survival mechanism, though we do feel like sometimes we want to just out with the, throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. But there is an actual reason why kids are so stinking cute. So they survive, right? Because that's why they're so cute. So there's times you're like, ah! And then you're like, oh my God, they're so cute. See? Save them again. So one of the things that you have to understand about toddlers' brains is that they are way smarter than what you think. And they also understand a great deal more than you can even realize. And because of that, their understanding also gets stalled out by their brain because they haven't got the words and they haven't got the muscle and mouth formation and the brain to mouth connection to be able to express the things that they are understanding at a much higher level than what we ever give them credit for. Because I've seen it. I have seen it again and again and again, and there's no scientific founding to this. This is just my observation over watching like at least 83 kids that ran through my daycare. So I really watch how intelligent they are. And a lot of what that is toddlers are constantly absorbing and growing, and they're kind of like their emotions and their thought processes are very, very pure. They're very sort of black and white. It's either right or it's wrong, it's there or it's not. And there's not a lot of kind of gray areas yet. And that's because their brains are still so young and they haven't had the experiences, the interactions. They haven't had welcome. They haven't had those things that the brain can build all those synapses, all those connections. That's a fancy word. And now you can sound really smart to your friends. Yeah, I learned about the synapses in my toddler's brain today. Your friends are going to go, did you add some Baileys to that coffee? Because so not to worry, we'll kind of explain and you'll sort of see. And like I said, it's really important for you to recognize that your kids understand a great deal. As a matter of fact, they probably understand, I'm going to take a stab at about 85% of what you're telling them, because they're that darn smart. It's just because their brains aren't quite connected enough to be able to articulate how much they understand and what they're trying to say. So that gives you kind of like this little baby version of my philosophy and my observations on what I think a toddler brain is. Now, a toddler brain is also incredibly good at not only problem solving, it's also incredibly good at finding solutions and being creative, because they're learning. So that's what all those loose synapses are doing, is creating and searching for each other and connecting. And part of our job as a parent is to help them to build them. Now, it's not always easy. There are definitely times where I stood there, they were screaming and I was screaming, and I just like lost my marbles. And it's okay. I want to tell you right now, whatever you've been doing is okay. All right. You are already amazing. You're doing a great job. And the fact that you're hopping in here is just proof of the pudding that we as parents are going to always continue to learn more. We are going to always be able to look back at 100% 2020 vision, because that's what the past is. I'm still learning. So do I say I have every single answer? Heck no. I sure hope I don't, because that wouldn't be very exciting, would it? And part of what I do with my parents is I encourage you guys to ask questions, because it does make me think and it does make me stretch, reach, and grow, which in turn makes you stretch, reach, and grow. And that's what your toddlers are doing. Your toddlers, through their black and whiteness, through their intelligence, through their creativity, their problem solving, their tenacity, because we all know how tenacious they can be when they want that cookie or that sock got taken off and they didn't give you permission. You know how long they can hang on to stuff. These are all wonderful traits and qualities that are going to challenge you. They are going to frustrate you. They are going to have you admire. They're going to have you go, wow. They're going to make you go, oh, wow. And it's all part of it. And having kids forces you to grow. If you don't grow as a parent and as a person, you're doing yourself a disservice and your family. So let's get into some of the things that I want to talk about. So we've talked about the brain and sort of a basic kind of how do you do and what do you do. Now, kids are also born with no sense of volume control, no sense of emotional control. They seem to have no sense of safety. These are all things because their brains are so fresh and new. And a lot of the times when we tell them they can't do something, their reaction is it can be quite volatile. So what I want to teach you really is how to take that frustration, both yours and theirs, and turn it into a conversation. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to sit down and have a philosophical conversation with your 2 to 4 year old, okay? But what I am suggesting is that you can have a quite intelligent conversation and compromise and discussion with them in the level that they are at. And sometimes when you use words, you can ask them, yes and no questions, so you can help to solve and get down, and they can be able to kind of hone you in onto articulating what's going on. And there's a time where you're just going to say, that's it, sorry kiddo, you can tantrum all you like, but that's the end of, because you are the parent. I want to make this very, very clear. Old school coming through here. You are the parent. What you say goes, especially when they're that small. Now, that is not to say you need to be a dictator, because that's unhealthy too. Doesn't mean everything they say goes either, because that's not healthy either. But there is a middle ground. When it comes to safety, I have a no negotiation. I don't care how mad you get. If I need to haul you up by your hood to save you from being smooshed by a car, I don't care. I will do it. Because safety issues are absolutely never negotiable with any child that I've ever had. Other things are negotiable. Things like when we're going to leave. You can give them a 5-minute negotiation. Let's say, okay, we can get ready to go now, and then we can have 5 extra minutes at the park, or we can stay playing this for 5 more minutes, but then we don't get it at the park. So you see, you're still giving them the boundaries, you're giving them limitations, but you're letting them have a choice, and they can let you know which one, and they're really smart. They can do this. Do you want to have your snack now or later? Well, they'll tell you. Do you want to play this game or this game? Do you want to wear this outfit or that outfit? And sometimes you may say, do you want this shoe or that shoe? And they want both. So here's a little suggestion. One of each. They have 2 feet, one for each. Works really well. They look crazy, but they're happy. And who cares? They're wearing mismatched shoes. What you don't want to do, though, and this is something I hear incessantly, and I empathize with it, and I get it because I've done it. I have done it where my kids' temper tantrums started to run the house. And they started to run me. And this is where a lot of my parents get so frustrated, because they're like, all they do is tantrum. I'm like, okay, I get it. And sometimes, and this is hard, so bear with me, okay? I am not pointing any fingers, because I've done it. That sometimes we create it. Inadvertently, we create the frustration and the tantruming and the rebelliousness and the defiance and the no and the I do it myself and the, all that, and throwing themselves on the floor, red-faced, veins popping, nose boogers flying, bleh, writhing piece of being that you don't even recognize. Okay, sometimes we have done that ourselves, and there's very easy ways. I want to let you know that it's really easy to fix. It's not as difficult. So I'm going to give you just a few really simple things down the way here so that you can use them to shift it. Now, one of the things I want you to make sure that you do with your toddlers, and this one I learned the hard way, so you're welcome. You didn't have to listen to dozens and dozens of toddlers screaming their little lungs out. So I'm going to give you the shortcut. Let them know what's going to happen. Huge, huge, huge things for toddlers. Toddlers love routine. They love kind of knowing what's going to happen next. It's kind of like an adventure. Now, you don't have to give them a whole day, but I used to tell my daycare kids when they'd show up, I'd tell my kids, well, my kids just had to take it with me being new and winging it. But I would tell my daycare kids, okay, we're going to have morning snack, because they'd all have something to eat when they got in the door about 9 o'clock. Then we're going to have playtime. Then we can have snack. Then we're going to go to the park, or, and then we're going to come home and we're going to have dinner, or we're going to have lunch. So that would be about what I give them. And I kind of give them this little small frame of reference. Some people are really into using like stick boards, or you've got, you can put the pictures up of what's going on. For me, I'm way too lazy. I'm going to be honest. They love it. I am lazy as all get out. So it might not be for you. You may want to write things down with little pictures that your kids can put, clothes pegs on. These are all lots of tools that you can use even with your toddlers. They love stuff like that. And I actually did do it for a short period of time with one little guy. He was extra special. Call my special needs kids extra special. because all kids are special. But one of my extra special kids did need some help with that. So we did make up some of those stick boards, and it worked really, really well. So the other thing you can do is label your boxes of toys. I used to have a car box and a train box, and I would have a doll box, and that way then I could say, blocks in the block bucket, cars in the car bucket, and they would be able to find that. So again, it gave them a parameter, and it gave them a clear way to be able to be more independent, which is something they want so bad. They want to be independent so bad, and that's part of the problem. It's great, but so make yourself a routine. Let them know what's going on. Label some of the things so that in your house, like your toy boxes, like your little containers, so that they can feel more independent. So when you say get the car box, they'll know the box of cars. Can you get the block box? And they go get the block box. And that's really, really handy. The other thing I really recommend you in place to never let them have try not to let them have more than 2 buckets of toys out, one for each hand, because it gets really overwhelming for them, and then you end up cleaning up this huge mess, and you're going to lose your snizzle, and that's just bad. We don't want that. We don't want that at all. Okay? Right. How are we doing so far? There's going to be a lot going on, so we'll see how this goes. And I'm going to open up the last 15 minutes for chit chat and questions. So write those questions down. So we've talked about routine. We've talked about labeling things so that kids can find their toys so they can put them in and out independently. We've talked about limiting the number of choices. And in that routine, we also talked about setting them up for success in letting them know what's going to be happening next. Now, the other thing you need to do, and this is where that whole meltdown, frustration to conversation thing comes in. When you are going out with your kids, because this is where they love to put on a show for the whole world, and you're sitting there going, oh my God. Or worse, which has happened to me many times, it sets you off and you get so frustrated, right? So I used to take 7 children to the mall. 7. 4 in a buggy and 3 walking with me. And how did I do that? People look at me, what'd you do? Like give them all like darks or something? And I'm like, no. What I would do is I would make sure they'd had a snack before they left. Everybody went last pee, check for dribbles. So that you can tell that. And then when we got there, I told them, first we're going to go and do Auntie Corina's things. And then we're going to have a little break and do some fun things for you guys. Now, that could be stopping at those little toys that they ride on. And I used to let them climb all in there, and I'd rattle it going, juggle, 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 doo, 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 and give them 5 minutes of running around playtime. And then I'd say, okay, 1 minute. So I'm warning them, 1 more minute, and then we're going to get back in and finish up our job. And then when we're done doing that, then we're going to go home and we're going to have snack and story time. So it was about letting them know these are the things that are going to happen, and these are the expectations of you. So I'd also tell the kids that if you choose to not be helpful, help Auntie Corina get the things done, or help Mommy get the things done, or Daddy get the things done, then we're not going to A, B, or C. They would then sit in the stroller, and the other kids could play on the toys for those 5 minutes. You chose not to be helpful. You chose to run away. You chose to, I don't know, pull things off or whatever it is that they're doing. And you chose not to listen to Mommy, so you're not going to be able to play on the toys this time. And they will get angry. That's okay, because you're just being very clear. Trust me, you won't have to do this very many times before they get the picture. That it's much better for them to be cooperative and earn that reward that, hey, you did a great job. Let's stop and give you guys a bit of play, because their attention spans are short. So don't expect to do a 5-hour shopping trip. This is good for about an hour, hour and a half, and it's pretty effective. Okay? Second thing, make sure you bring a little snack along so that halfway through you can kind of stop and give them a little bite to eat and a little bit, a little drink. Some of the other things that I also like to do when we're out is also get them to help me. Can you help move the stroller? Can you help hold Mommy's hand? Because I'm feeling like I might get lost. I need your help. So engaging and bringing them into helping you is a huge thing. It's so huge. And it was really neat because I would have the kids with, put 2 in the stroller, 2 little ones in the front, 2 in the back, and stack them up like little sausages. And the older kids would be really helpful at helping me take care of the little ones, which is great because it teaches them empathy. It teaches them to look out for somebody other than themselves, okay? Now, let's talk about your words and how much they matter. We're just going to have a moment here. Let you guys catch up with your writing because I know there's a ton of stuff that I go through. And my decide, jump, repeat mug, I love it. Live it every day. So we are going to decide that we're going to make a change in our parenting. We are going to jump right at it and we're going to do it over and over again, right? Okay. And if you happen to go back to your old way of doing things that you don't really like doing anymore, it's okay. Move forward. It's part of learning. You and your toddler learning. All right. So let's talk about things that you can do when your toddler does or when your little one does blow a gasket. First thing, if you haven't set them up, that's fine, and let them know what's going on. You're in the middle of this kid who's been pushing your buttons, who's been running around with the cart, has not been listening, hanging over the edge. You know how you see the little ones kind of flopped over the edge and they're like screaming and losing their mind. And then you look at another family and their kid's like, "Ooh, hi, mommy," and they're chatting away. You're like, "I want that kid." Here's how it's going to happen, okay? Here's how we are going to make that happen. You're going to do the above stuff in the future. But in the meantime, let's deal with that tantrum, that meltdown. Now, there's usually a pretty darn good reason. Tired, overwhelmed, too many rules, not clear enough expectation, and you saying no. Okay? So some of the things that I find are really helpful is for me not to instantly go, "Cut that out, stop it, that's enough out of you." Okay, because their brains are gone. They're not really there. They are deep in their emotion and their frustration and their not being able to have enough say, not being able to say what it is that's bugging them. So they're just going really instinctual down into kind of meltdown mode. So take a breath for yourself. It's the first thing you can do. And I'm gonna tell you, might be the hardest thing, but as soon as you just, okay, I can do this. Yes, you can. You can do this. Okay. Next thing I do is I often will, depending on where the kid is and who the child is, sometimes I'm like, "Really? Buddy, God, really? Here, let me help you out. Why don't you use your words and tell me what's going on?" Especially when they get, about 3.5, 4.5, I start saying, "Hey, your brain is off and I can't understand your words." This works so well, so well. Crouch down, get eye to eye, let them know you're there, touch them on the shoulder. Be careful for flailing arms and legs because, yes, they will lash sometimes. Please don't react when they do that. You can say, "Ow," and then afterwards you can talk about how when you're angry, you still need to keep your body to yourself. But you can sit in them going, "Hey, I want to hear what you're saying, but I can't understand your words. I want to know what it is that's going on, but I can't understand your words. I see how angry you are, but I can't understand your words. Can you help me?" And it does help bring them back. It helps bring them back, and they, and you say, "Do you need a Kleenex?" Okay? You can say to them, I want you to tell me because I really want to listen, and I really want to know what it is. Don't know if you'll like the answer, but let's talk about it. And yeah, you're going, "Oh my God, that is so new agey, coddly your child." But I'm going to tell you, it works. It works like nothing you've ever seen before. By giving them that acknowledgement, "I see you." Then you let them know, "I hear you, but I don't understand you." That's a huge decompressor for kids. It's like putting a fire extinguisher on a small fire. Putting a lid on a grease fire. Pulls the oxygen out of it, stops the feeding of it. Sometimes you have to let them kind of ride it out and let them know, "I want to hear your words, but I can't understand you." And just say, "I see you're angry. Can I help you finish your angry?" These are just things that you can start to do to kind of bring that. And then when you've got their attention, you can talk to them. You can say, "Hey, tell me what it was." And sometimes they'll say, "One toy, one cookie," or whatever their words are. And some kids sign. I find signing with children extremely effective. because they're able to express themselves and let you know what's in their little brains, maybe if their mouths don't work. And it's great when you're across at a playground, you can whistle and then you go, it's time to go, 5 minutes, time to go. And my kids were like, got it. And like, people were like, what are you doing? I'm signing with my kids. It was great. It's an awesome thing. So let them know you see them, you hear them, and you're trying to understand them. Then as soon as you can, hug them. Wipe their face. Give them a kiss. Let them know it's okay, but next time we're going to try and use our words first. And yes, a 2-year-old or a 22-month-old can use their words. It's a lot of body language. They are masters of reading it. It's how they survive. And you are going to have to start to learn, and you are going to make those efforts to learn their body language. So you're going to see them starting to wind up. If you see them running off and you see them getting distracted and whiny and grumpy, and you can start doing things to shift the direction. Stop what you're doing. Give them 60 seconds of your time. It's going to make a huge difference. So the other thing that I love doing is using humor with my toddlers. And even the littlest ones will get it. They think it's funny. So I am not afraid to be very silly and make myself look silly. There have been times where I've had a toddler that has just hucked themselves down in front of me, screaming and yelling, and I knew there was no reason for it. I knew they were just playing it up to try and get me to give them a snack early. Well, it wasn't snack time. We had half an hour, and I couldn't change the rules because I had 5 to 6 other kids that ate too. So if I start changing the rules, it's a gong show, right? Doesn't work. So I go, look at them and go, really? That's nothing. Is that all you can do? Is that the best you've got? So I do it a little bit with the older ones, and they would laugh. The other times when they started whining, or they started with the whole kind of kicking off, as some people say, I go, hang on. My ears aren't working. Let me fix them. And sometimes when their ears weren't working, I come up and I gently play with their ears and I wiggle them. I go, are your ears working? So don't be afraid to throw in some fun. Throw in some fun. Get that eye contact. Go, are your ears working? And this is the fun part. Sometimes they'll stick their fingers in the ears, or they'll actually grab their own little ears and they'll adjust them. It's the most precious thing you're ever going to see. It's awesome. And it really diffuses everything, because all of a sudden they realize, oh, maybe I am not listening. Because when kids play, especially when they're small, they truly, honestly, they don't hear you. You're like, I was yelling. How could you not hear me? It's part of that black and white thing where they're able to compartmentalize, and they get so deep into what they're doing, the rest of the world disappears. Have you ever read a book where you were so involved that literally somebody had to tap you on the shoulder because you were so engrossed, or you were watching a movie and somebody came and tapped on your shoulder and you just about like lost your snizzle because, you're like, okay, I know, don't need to check with the doctor, my heart works. That's what that is. They're just so engrossed in what they're doing. All right. So, okay, so conversation isn't necessarily sitting down and going, now, Matthew, who is 30 months old, could you please express to me in as many words as you'd like to use what it is that is upsetting you? No, you're going to say, hey, I see you're mad. What's making you mad? And they can point, or they can tell you, or they can say, or they can go, they'll grab at their own toy to bring it back. Remember, they are showing you with the language they have, and their language isn't always verbal. Their language can be emotional. It can be physical. Yes, when they haul off and whack somebody with their toy car, that's the emotional one. That's the physical emotional one. That is just bomb. Those, that's where you got to kind of go with the hit, you sit thing, where, hitting body to yourself, gentle body, all that good stuff. So I think what it is just that when we take the time to let our kids know that we have set up a kind of an expectation, what's going to happen, then we set up our expectations, and we set up the consequences, both positive and negative, because every decision we make in our life will have an outcome that is either positive or negative. It's either the answer we want or it's not, right? It's just how it is. So when I say negative, it doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. And I'm also a big one on using the word discipline. Now, discipline actually means to guide and to teach. So that's your role, is to discipline, to guide and to teach your child. And that means time out. That means losing out on playtime, but it also means gaining that playtime and having that extra snack, or getting to do that paint time early, or not going to the park but getting to do Play-Doh with mom, or make cookies, or whatever it is that you're doing. So consequences are not a bad thing. Consequences are a great way for kids to learn. Now, have you ever had this one? This is one of my favorites. It's freezing outside and they're like, I'm not cold and I'm no coat. No coat. All right. Do you fight with them and shove it on them and have a big hissy fit? Or do you sit down and go to them, it's really cold outside. You don't want to wear your coat, but I'm going to bring it just in case you change your mind. You've taken the entire fight out of it. And you're giving them the option to come back without, them getting upset. It's just a great way to kind of teach kids about the natural and logical consequences. Like, if you don't eat, you're hungry. You don't wear your rain boots, you get wet feet. So teaching them all these things and discipling them along is all part of what you do. All right. When your kids get a little bit older, I want to give you the option that you can actually, when they are trying to negotiate with you, when they are getting upset, and you can say, well, convince me why we should do this. Or how about what's another idea? And trust me, kids are really great at coming up with solutions. So even your littler ones can come up, like, you don't want to go, let's say you don't want to have reading time. What else could we do? Give me 2 ideas, 1 for each hand. Again, visual, right? So you're engaging them. Oh, they play cars? Color. You don't want storage, you want to do cars. And they'll give you a bit of an idea. You can suggest something and then get it down to 2 and let them pick. Again, it builds the conversation, that they have a voice, that you do hear it, and that their entire life isn't being controlled by you, because little kids really don't have a lot of say in their life. So by giving them some of the times where they do have, where it's appropriate, it just kind of diffuses the bomb a little bit, so to speak. It's like, some days your cup is filled to the brim, other days you've got lots and lots of room, right? So help your kids to lower their levels by taking those few minutes, and you're going to be really impressed. At first, it's going to feel really odd when you are starting to do this stuff, but you're going to find out very, very quickly, and they're going to become second nature. Trust me, they will become second nature. And the next thing you know, you're going to be doing them like, you've been doing it all your life. You're going to be able to go out with your kids. You're going to be able to prevent, shorten, or nip it at the bud, or a tantrum, or you're going to be able to calmly ride one out when they do happen. Okay? But the final thing is, when your child is tantruming because of something they can't do or something they want that they're just not having, don't give in. Do not give them the reinforcement that if I do this behavior, I will get what I want. Okay? It's going to make it 10 times harder. And if you give, so whatever level they took that tantrum to, if you give, if you cave at that level, you have to not only go back through this if you want to do it again when you're trying it, but you're going to have to do this, plus you're going to have to do it to this level, because they will know, well, it only took to here. If I ante it up, they're going to give it. So it's going to be a lot harder. So once you have decided to do this, please, for your sanity, I beg you, mother to mother, don't do this to yourself and give in. It's just going to backfire and make it harder. And you're going to be starting to say, well, it doesn't work. Nothing works. It does. It just takes time, consistency, tenacity, and the ability to be just a little bit smarter than your toddler. All right, so I think that's where we're going to kind of wrap it up, where we're giving you those things. Use some humor with your kids. Have some fun with them. Let them know that it's a good time and that kids are cool and they're cool, and there's times where they get to have a say and that there's times when they don't. And the times that they don't will not kick them off as nearly as often when they feel like they're being heard or they're being understood other times, okay? So I am Auntie Corina. I am also available for you to kind of come and talk to, just one-on-one, you and I. It's really easy. We just go on Facebook Messenger and we chit chat, and we have a video chat. And not only can you get a little bit of free time with me, but you can also book me to help you with some problems or challenges that need a little bit more intensity and need a little bit of extra direction. Don't worry, if you can afford a latte, you can afford me. All right? It's really simple. It's a small investment that is going to pay off because you're getting the shortcuts here. You are not going to have to reinvent the wheel. You're not going to get 10 different people giving you 10 different kinds of advice. You're going to get advice that has worked over oodles and oodles, dozens of kids, and it's going to work for yours. All right, so I am Auntie Corina, and I will be checking on here, seeing if there's any questions that anybody has or something that you need a little more clarified. Please put your comment below, because I want to be able to answer them so that everyone else can see. So here's the last little secret I'm going to give you. You're not alone. Your child is not the only one who tantrums. They all do. And you know what? We all learn. So let's make this village, because it takes a village to raise them. Let's be a part of this village that supports each other, encourages, and helps our parents, helps you to remember that you're doing an awesome job. My job is to get you to feel like that. All right? I'll talk to you soon. Feel free to drop your comments, your questions, your concerns, or if you want to talk to me, I'm really easy to find. You guys have an amazing day. Make sure you had your ears working and clean them out. Make sure they're working for your kids, and have yourself a fabulous afternoon. And it is a pouring, nasty, yucky, rainy day, so I suggest that you bundle everybody up in their rubber boots and go puddle jumping for 5 minutes. You'll be amazed. They'll come back refreshed, and so will you. Have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. Thank you for your time. And go hop onto my page, Auntie Corina Parenting Coach, and feel free to drop into the Decide Tribe, where moms just like you, we hang out, we have coffee, we chit-chat, all on in this wonderful group on Facebook. Have a good one, you guys, and we'll talk to you soon. Have fun. Over and out. Bye.